Hello and welcome to the Mastermind, Body, and Spirit Show. I'm your host, Matt Belair. As you know, we are facing extreme censorship alongside many other truth seekers out there. If you want to support the show, please go over to mattbelair.com and sign up for the email list. Join the Academy for exclusive and censorship-free content. Become a patron, and most importantly, consider doing 3 kind acts wherever you are in the world today. Today's guest is the founder of Synergy Health Associates and has been in clinical practice for over 25 years. Previously, she was an operating room nurse specializing in cardiothoracic, open heart, vascular, and kidney transplants. She opened her chiropractic practice in 1994, specializing as a Directional Non-Force Technique practitioner, clinical nutritionist, and as an expert in women's health. Welcome to the show, Dr. Loretta T. Friedman.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate being here tonight.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you on because you are an expert in so many fields. You have such vast experience. Like, I can't even imagine going from, working in cardiothoracic, open heart, vascular, like that just sounds super intense. And then I'm getting more into chiropractic these days, just learning from or having more friends that are actually chiropractors and how they have a little bit of a different philosophy of medicine from what I understand, and just understanding that the body, the way that it works, it's supposed to be in harmony. It can take care of itself. And that's what you're meant to do as a chiropractor. You can kind of let me know where I'm accurate or not in this, but also then you're into detoxification and some amazing things. So why don't you just give us a little bit about your background and your work and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. I'm gonna talk a little bit about start off with toxicity, because my belief is that toxicity is we're all exposed to it. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food that we eat are filled with chemicals and pesticides, antibiotics, and steroids. And these all amount to what we call endocrine disruptors. And they cause your immune system to become interrupted. And the interruption causes blockages and or stagnation of the lymphatic system. And the lymph system is what delivers the immune response in your body. So if toxins are attaching themselves to the lymph fluid, this is why the lymph becomes blocked and or stagnated. And this causes autoimmune diseases and or cancers. So toxicity is a real thing. Just because you can't see it and you can't smell it and you can't necessarily taste it, unless the chlorine is coming out too high in your water, from your tap in your bathroom, which is actually a heavy metal chlorine that can cause toxicity, you're not aware that these things are, happening. So in 2014, there was a study that was done, and they tested women's breast tissue. And women's breast tissue tested positive for 17 different dangerous chemicals that all cause cancer. And as I said, autoimmune diseases. This was published in the Huffington Post. And I had been practicing lymph drainage for years. As a musculoskeletal specialist, as a directional non-force chiropractor, the technique that I do, I am one of 2 people in all of New York State that practice directional non-force, and I'm one of maybe 150 people in the whole country that do this. It's a very specialized, very gentle, extremely effective form of chiropractic. Not only do we look at the osseous or the bony component, but we also look at all the surrounding soft tissue, the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, and the discs. It's the discs, Matt, that give people the pain relief and the extra holding power, so they hold their adjustments for a longer period of time. What's the biggest complaint that people have about chiropractic? I always have to go back, right? I you know what I mean? It's like, constantly, at the chiropractor's office. Directional non-force, I fix low back pain, acute low back pain in 6 visits. Hand to God. Yep. People come in, they're bent over, they can't straighten up, they can barely walk on a Tuesday. And by Friday, they're straightened and, they're walking out the door. Hey, doc, thank you so much. And I'll see them for another couple of visits, for a follow-up, because we need to make sure that everything is in place. What was happening was that because of the power of this technique, I knew how good directional non-force was, there were patients that weren't responding as well as I would have liked them to. And I'm very picky. I'm very detail oriented. And it irked me and it bothered me that I'm like, I don't understand why they're not responding as well as they should. Why aren't you getting better? You know what I mean? Basically, it's like, even with supplementation, it's like they had pain, they had inflammation, things weren't moving along in a smooth pattern. And I started thinking, and I started scratching my head, and I realized that this was all about inflammation. This was about the fact that the fluid and the inflammation that was in their body, that was in and around that disc, was stuck and it wasn't moving. And in order to get that fluid out, I needed to do something else. And I happened to be dealing with one of my vendors who was working in the city, who liked to drop by and chat with me for a little while during the day when she got bored of walking the streets of Manhattan. This is 20 years ago. So she would come and talk to me. She went to some trade show and she had seen some company that was working with a machine that did something with lymphatic drainage. And I went, oh my God, I need to call this company. I need to speak to them. And a few months later, I was on a plane to South Dakota, where I spent a week learning about the lymph system and lymphatic drainage and how this creates inflammation in the body and how it can be removed successfully. And I came back and I started working with my musculoskeletal patients who came in with hot discs, and I would do this lymphatic drainage on them, and they would get better. It was amazing. The improvement was like night and day. I'm like, there's something going on here. But then I started getting curious about what was causing this stagnation. Why was this inflammation moving in you, but it wasn't moving in them? Why were some people okay and the inflammation would alleviate itself quickly, and in other cases it got stuck? And I realized that it had to do with toxicity in the body, that the more toxins that people had, it caused blockage of this lymphatic system. I do a cell test in my office. I do something called an aging analysis. Somebody comes in and I put electrodes in the back of their hand and their foot, and I put an electrical impulse in through their body, and it prints out this algorithm. And the algorithm correlates to cell health. And it shows me how much toxicity you have in your system. And I saw that those people who had more toxicity in their system also had more inflammation. And I was like, oh my God, look at that. This is the correlation. This is what's going on. And I talked to people for years about the fact that this toxicity was, in our bodies. And as a woman, unfortunately, the toxins store in our breast tissue. This is also why breast cancer is so high. And also autoimmune diseases are so much higher in the female population because the toxins store in the breast tissue. And for men, I really believe wholeheartedly that your prostates are what toxins store themselves in. This is why if all men lived long enough and something else doesn't kill them, they would die of prostate cancer, because all prostates will become cancerous as you grow older. And nobody's done a study. That's the missing link with the prostate. As I told you, in 2014, there was a study done showing that these toxins do exist in women's breast tissue. And I jumped up and I went, look at that. I'm smarter than I look. I've been talking about this for years. And here it is. It's not a theory. It's real. This is a real thing. And I started jumping up and down and I started banging my drum because I wanted people to know that there's something that can be done for the lymph, for the immune system, for inflammation and swelling. So, the thing is that 10 million people in this country suffer from lymphedema. That is a huge number, huge, okay? So there are more people who suffer from lymphedema than have multiple sclerosis, MD, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, Parkinson's disease, and AIDS, all combined. There are more people who suffer from lymphedema. And lymphedema is the fluid accumulation that you can have either in a limb or a leg, or even, anywhere in your body, your neck, your face, your chest, your torso, your belly, and systemically, you can have all this fluid accumulation. This is lymphatic fluid. And unfortunately, the medical profession does not have any clue as to what to do with these patients. They send them for lymphatic massage, which is an oxymoron, I'm sorry to say. It just pushes the fluid from point A to point B because it doesn't get at the toxicity. See, it's the toxins that cause the problem. The toxins literally attach themselves to the lymph and flow around with the body, with the lymph fluid. And when the lymph is cold to arms, like you sprain your ankle, dun, da, da, dum, lymph shows up like the cavalry to try and avoid any further damage from occurring. But if that fluid, after 4 to 6 weeks, if that fluid doesn't remove itself from the ankle and it's still swollen and it's still, painful, and you still can't use your ankle properly, and 8 or 10 weeks later, that's lymphedema. And, putting on an ACE bandage or putting on some sort of, compression stocking doesn't fix the problem because the fluid is stuck. It's not able to get out of the tissue. That's due to metabolic toxicity. And that's I want to explain a little bit about the difference, because metabolic toxicity is your immune system, which is your lymph, your kidneys, your liver, and your digestion. Most people are familiar with what we call cleanses. You know what I mean? It's like they're going to do a cleanse, a 3-day cleanse, a 5-day cleanse, a 9-day cleanse. You've got the master cleanse that Beyonce did. And, and she also exercises 20 hours a day. So, cleanses don't work. Okay. Cleanses only address a very minute part of the system, which is your small and large intestine. They're going to try and sell you on the fact that it can detox the liver, but it doesn't. Okay. There isn't enough in whatever it is you're taking that's actually going to have a beneficial enough effect on the liver, and you're not taking enough, and you're not taking it long enough to actually do anything health-wise. So you reduce your caloric intake for 3 to 5 days. You're drinking juice or water or whatever teas, you're told to take. You lose some water weight, so you're happy. Your breath smells and tastes like horse shit, which, you think you're doing something there. You get a little giddy because you get into a ketotic state, right? You get into a little ketosis. We know about keto diets, right, these days. And you think you've accomplished something. The problem is, after that 5 to 7 days, you go right back to where you started from. You haven't accomplished anything. The minute you start eating food, the carbohydrates, you put all that water weight right back on again, and you haven't cleansed anything. So only addressing the small and large intestine to a small degree doesn't really affect the liver and the kidneys and the lymphatic system. So, the new era, thing to do is a metabolic detoxification. You need to hit all the highlights. You need to hit the digestion, the lymph, the liver, and the kidneys. So, and this is done with diet. This is done with foods. This is done with supplements. This is done with powders and pills and tinctures and tonics and homeopathics. And there's all kinds of stuff out there. The real challenge is figuring out what type of toxicity somebody might have. So my experience is if the cell test that I do, the aging analysis that I do shows toxicity, somebody who has a lot of toxicity in their system, it's usually some sort of heavy metal, might even be more than one heavy metal. And the other thing is that I have never seen a cancer patient who's come into my office whose toxicity wasn't off the charts. So anybody who has cancer has some toxin in their body that's causing this cancer. The cancer doesn't just come from nowhere. It didn't just appear. It's a toxin that is causing that cancer, whether it's an estrogen-based cancer, whether it's a lymphoma, whether it's a pancreatic cancer, whether it's a colon cancer. It doesn't matter what type of cancer it is. There's some toxicity at the center of this inflammatory reaction that is causing the cancer to be created. But not everyone who has toxicity has cancer, okay? So you can have toxins in your body, doesn't mean you have cancer. But if you have cancer, you have toxins. And part of the cancer regime and part of the protocol should be detoxification. This would be so helpful for these patients. They would do so much better. They would feel better. They would have less reactions to, the meds and the drugs and the radiation that they're giving themselves, because those are all poisons and all toxins that they're doing to kill the cancer. So, more bad things to kill bad things. So, but that's the world we live in. And, so yeah, it's, so again, figuring out what type of toxicity, somebody has is key. And that's what I do. So with a very thorough history, sitting down and talking to people and really communicating and getting lots and lots and lots of information from them, dietary history, sleep history, exercise history, emotional history, figuring out what it is that's going on with them. And then you can do even additional testing. There are urine tests that are available to test for heavy metals. There are urine tests that are available to test for liver function. There are stool tests that are available for leaky gut. Leaky gut is huge. People don't realize that digestive problems, the indigestion, the heartburn, the gas, the bloating, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I react to this, I react to that. That's leaky gut. And if you have leaky gut, it can be fixed. You know what I mean? You don't need to take the purple pill and Zantac and all these other digestive medications, because I love the new one. What is it? Endocrine, what is it? Pancreatic insufficiency. They've created a name because they made a drug for this disease, okay? The fact that the pancreas isn't making enough enzyme to break down and emulsify your foods, they created a drug. So now you have a disease that's called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, EPI. And exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, I've been treating successfully with digestive enzymes for 25 years. No drugs, no medications, enzymes, digestive enzymes that will break down and emulsify your foods, not just the pancreas, but also the gallbladder, because the gallbladder is key, breaking down fats. So these are people who don't have fabulous diets to begin with, so that needs to be changed, and lifestyles need to be rectified over there, and a little bit of exercise doesn't hurt anybody. But the digestive enzymes are key for these people. I can't tell you all the 20 and 30-something-year-old women that come in here that have neck and upper back pain. Oh my, killing pain, shoulder, and it's all digestion. It's not really musculoskeletal. It is a secondary cause because their digestion, their pancreas, their stomach, and their gallbladders are not functioning optimally. They're working way too hard to digest their food because, somebody told you that avocado was good to eat. Has anybody ever told you that a whole avocado at one meal was a great food choice? No. Okay? No. Nobody told you that. Nobody told you to sit down and eat a whole avocado, 400 to 600 calories of fat in one sitting was a good idea. But that's what people are doing today because avocados are good fat. So, more must be better. Coconut oil is a good fat. So medium chain fatty acid, more must be better. People are consuming fats up the wazoo and their bodies can't digest them properly. Okay, we're only meant to digest a certain amount. A quarter of an avocado at any given meal is a sufficient portion. Okay, not a half, not 3/4, not a whole one, but a quarter. So people are eating themselves into a state where their digestion is not working. And I said, this can be rectified, this can be fixed with enzymes, but they have a drug now. So everybody's got exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. Every time that commercial comes on, I get crazy. So yeah, again, figuring out the type of toxicity that somebody has, and if it is leaky gut, then, you know, you're looking at changing their eating habits, their lifestyle, really making some dietary changes, looking at putting in some, has to be whole organic foods. We have to, you know, get away from the GMOs. We have to stop eating all the soil depleted fruits and vegetables because there's no nutrients in them at all. And, you know, get on the bandwagon with, like I said, whole organic foods, which is you know, important. Unfortunately, it's also expensive. So, you know, I understand that not everybody can afford to do this, but even a little bit helps. You know, that's the thing. You don't, you know, even a little bit helps. I often tell people there's apps on your phone. There's one that's called the Dirty Dozen, okay? And the Dirty Dozen are the 12 dirtiest foods that you can consume. These are the foods that have the most amount of pesticides in them. Things like grapes, things like cucumbers, things like, yeah, right, you know, things like certain melons, because they have thin skins, and strawberries, raspberries, all of this stuff. These are the things that you absolutely, absolutely want to eat organically because they are drenched in pesticides. They have so many chemicals in them. I go shopping at Costco, right? I love Costco. Costco has a lot of organic stuff. You gotta give them credit. They're really, you know, paved to the audience there. And I'm watching people, I'm looking at all the organic stuff, and I'm watching people with kids in their wagon, you know, picking up the box of raspberries that's not organic. And I want to scream. I just want to scream because this is what you're going to feed your kids. You know, it's like, just, you know, for $1 difference, get the organic. If they only understood why. That's the problem. People need to understand why they need to eat this way. It's not just a fad. It's not just you know, a new thing. There's reasons behind it. And basically it's your health and your immune system that's suffering when you don't eat organically and you eat all these pesticides. So if going back to toxicity, women in and of themselves, any woman who has or experiences lumpy, bumpy, tender breasts has toxicity in her system. So it's sort of an easy way to identify if you're having a problem or if there might be some issue going on. And the lumpy, bumpy tenderness can be monthly, let's say in and around your period, which means your estrogen levels are too high. So you might be estrogen dominant, and that's a toxin. Estrogen is a very powerful hormone, very, very inflammatory, and it can cause health issues. Or the lumpy, bumpy tenderness is all the time. And same thing, you have some toxicity in your system that's causing this lumpy, bumpy tenderness. I have a breast health quiz on my website that women can take. You go to Lymph Biologics, which is the lymphatic drainage and the metabolic detox programs that I create for people. And the drop-down menu is a breast health quiz. And you can take this and it gives you a score. And depending on where you score, it tells you where you are in reference and range for, you know, toxicity, and whether you actually need to do something, or, you know, you're good and you're eating well and you're healthy. And it asks like 28 questions. It's not a long test. It's very quick, but it is really helpful in identifying whether there's an issue there ahead of time. So, you know, it's important for women to know. And, you know, what people can do for themselves at home if they want to detoxify, if they're concerned with liver toxicity. You can eat certain foods like, let's say, garlic. Okay, who doesn't love garlic? I love garlic, right? I use a ton of garlic in everything that I cook. Garlic is a sulfur compound, okay, and it also it activates the liver enzymes, and it helps to remove wastes from the body. So, and garlic also contains selenium. So does Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are very high in selenium. And this is an important mineral and nutrient that assists in detoxification, and it also supports the thyroid gland. So the thyroid is also basal metabolic rate, right? It supports metabolism. Citrus fruits, okay? So lemons and limes and grapefruits, they're a natural source of vitamin C, but they also contain potent antioxidants like garlic that boost the production of liver detoxification. So, anytime you're in a restaurant, you get a glass of water, squeeze some lemon in it. Okay, that's what I do. My girlfriend knows. You sit down at the table, they bring water. Can I have some lemon, please? I'm parking the car, and she's getting me lemon for my water because it's the way you got to drink it. It's a good way. Oh, yeah, and water, okay? Hydration is key. Do you know that most people are dehydrated? Do you know that if you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated? If you're looking for a glass of water, you're already depleted. So, I suggest that people drink half their body weight in ounces of water. That's a lot of water, but it's really good for you. It's really, really important that you drink water, that you stay hydrated. Broccoli, okay? Broccoli and cruciferous vegetables like cabbage and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, they also contain sulfur compounds like garlic, and they help to support liver detoxification. Very, very important. These are indoles, okay? So they help with the conversion of hydroestrogens in the body for women specifically, and they promote the hydroestrogens that are less cancerous. They also contain they help to flush toxins out, of the gut, and some compounds to help with metabolizing hormones, cruciferous vegetables, the indoles. So again, if a woman has high estrogen levels, if she has bad periods, if she has bad PMS, and her breasts get really sore and tender, and she's bitchy and she's cranky, and and she's got back pain, this usually means that she's got too much estrogen in her body. She's probably, as I said earlier, a little estrogen dominant. And indoles, cruciferous vegetables, can help block that elevated estrogen level and reduce a lot of those symptoms of PMS. Works amazingly well. And again, I see a lot of young girls, a lot of 20-something-year-olds who come in and they've got all kinds of pimples on their face, all kinds of acne because of elevated estrogen levels, and they're estrogen dominant. And I put them on these cruciferous vegetables, and I put them on some soy-based products, and all the acne clears up. It's amazing. They're going for facials and for laser and for peels. I mean, these are 20-something-year-olds. They have beautiful skin. They're destroying their faces, destroying them with all this stuff. A couple of supplements for a few months, all gone. And it happens within the first month. It starts to clear up. You can see a huge difference. I did it with my stepdaughter. Her skin is beautiful now. And she doesn't like me, and she took it. She listened to me, and her skin looks much better. So we talked about avocados earlier. So avocados are an incredible fruit, and they're very, very rich with glutathione. All right. And glutathione is a very powerful antioxidant. And it assists in liver elimination, and it also helps to protect against cell damage. And it's also good for the gut, okay? It helps protect the digestive cells, okay? 65-70% of all immune function comes from your gut, from your GI tract. So you want to keep your gut in good health. You want to keep, that leaky gut away, and you want to make sure that, gut health is up there on your list of things to do. Green leafy vegetables are key. The liver loves bitter. Okay, so the bitter, the better. Any dandelion leaf, rapini, arugula, you name it, chicory, the liver loves it. And the cleansing compounds, they help to neutralize heavy metals, specifically these green leafy vegetables. And they slow down the liver's, the heavy metals can slow down the liver's ability to detoxify. So green leafy vegetables are good. They're key. There are turmeric. Turmeric is a great anti-inflammatory. Turmeric is a fabulous spice. Do you cook with turmeric? I cook with it sometimes. Do you use it yourself?
Not enough. I've heard really good things about it. I don't really know how to cook with it. This has been amazing to listen and like let you drop a master class, because you have so much information that is important to go through. So when you're talking about like the heavy metals, I've heard about heavy metal detox, and when you're talking about toxicity, it makes perfect sense. And I heard before, I don't know if this is correct, but like basically every disease in the body, what's actually happening is inflammation. Like that, if like
Absolutely.
something goes, it's something is inflamed, and so the cause of that inflammation you're suggesting is a toxicity, which makes perfect sense. And the challenge for me, and I think a lot of the listeners, is they've got the keto diet, then they've got this cleanse, they've got all that stuff over there. It gets super confusing. And so my question I want to ask is, with the heavy metal detox, this is in your roundabout, your full detox scenario. And then how would we apply this? Like, do you have any kind of protocols or resources they need, like to get a specialized one? Because when you're telling me like a diet plan or whatever, because when you're saying all these ideas, the only way that my brain is going to be able to figure it out is I'm going to go buy garlic, Brazil nuts, citrus fruits, limes, lemons, and I'm going to eat them as they are, because I am not equipped enough to make it make sense.
Got
And
it.
so do we stay there forever and just eat them one at a time? And then the last thing I want to throw at you is, were you saying earlier the best diet plan is raw vegan in your opinion, or raw food?
No, the best diet is whole foods, organic.
Got it.
So, but whole foods, you have to eat food. I'm not from the, I'm going to drink my nutrients. I'm going to take it all in pill form. Only smoothies, or I'm only going to eat, fats, and I'm only going to eat, protein, and I'm not going to eat carbs. The body needs nutrition. The body needs all the nutrition. When you stop eating a substance, the body feels it. We become deficient, and you lose. The keto diet is great if you're sitting in front of a computer and all you need is your brain power all day, because if you do it for a week, you can't get up to walk to the bathroom because you have no energy, because you have no carbohydrates in your system. All it is fat and protein. So, it's good. That's great for athletes. You know what I mean? It's like, that's good for elite athletes. Those are the people who can do that and sustain that kind of diet. It's not for the everyday person. Um, you know, uh, People who, whatever it is that you prescribe to, raw diets, I'm sorry, you're not going to like what I have to say. And it's certainly not PC, but it's like, you seen these people on raw diets, they look like they have cancer. You know what I mean? It's like they have no muscle. You know what I mean? They're skinny. They have no tone. They look pale. They have no color. They look sickly. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't, that's not how you're supposed to be. 10 grams of protein over an entire day is not good. Okay. It's just not. That's not what the body needs. The body needs nutrition. It needs food. You're supposed to have a certain amount of protein every day, and a certain amount of carbs every day, and a certain amount of leafy greens and fruits and vegetables. So yeah. But to answer your question, I'm writing a book. Ooh. I'm writing a book, and all of this is in the book, and it's going to come with recipes, okay? Because that's, it's like this. You want to make a meal, okay? So wild salmon, okay? 3-4 ounces, 6 ounces of, wild salmon, because it's rich in omega-3. It's great anti-inflammatory. It's a great source of protein. You want to couple this with some green leafy vegetables. You want some Swiss chard or some dandelion, or, like I said, mustard greens. And you want, sweet potato, right? Because sweet potato is a good complex carbohydrate. It's colorful, so it's healthy for you because it's got all kinds of cyanocobalaminates in it and antioxidants. You know, and it supports, you know, energy, and it supports, you know, muscle. And let's see, what else does sweet potatoes do? Let me think for a second. Oh, and it's rich in potassium and vitamin A. There you go. So, you know, so that's a meal. You know, breakfast, eggs. You know, it's like eggs are a great protein. Oh my God. And they're portable. I mean, how perfect is that food? You know, eggs are, you know, and people who are not vegan and people who are, you know, not vegetarian, some of them do, you know, even if they are, they do eat eggs, and some of them do eat fish, you know, just so they can get a little bit more protein. But the same thing, you know, you can have a couple of, you know, hard-boiled eggs, or eggs sunny side up, or scrambled, or any way you like, and with some spinach. Oh my God. Throw some spinach in there, because spinach is amazing. Spinach has all kinds of nutrients in it, and all kinds of vitamins. It's vitamin A, vitamin C, K1, magnesium, and it's just like, it just checks all the boxes in terms of minerals. So, you know, and it's great. You know, you can mix that. I'm not a big fan of cheese. I'm not a big fan of dairy. Dairy is very, very inflammatory. So, and it's hard on the digestion. So, you know, it's not something that I recommend to my patients. And if they are eating it, I usually ask them to stop for a little while and let's replace it with some other protein. But it's easy to make meals. It's really not that hard, you know. And like I said, you know, with the lemons and stuff, when you go home, it's like, you know, pour. Do you drink smoothies? Do you make yourself smoothies?
Yeah, what smoothies is one of the hacks that I have, and I keep, for me, when I'm eating really healthy, I have to keep it super simple. And so it would be like eggs and spinach would be mixed together. In the afternoon, I would do a smoothie. But then sometimes I'm wondering, like, uh, am I doing it right? Because what you just said about the cucumber, I never thought about that. I just get regular cucumber, and I also feed my daughter raspberries. I think we get the organic stuff for her just because, you know, we feel like it's better. But, you know, then you learn something else. Like, even when you think you're eating healthy, which would just be a cucumber or something that you just get, and there's pesticides on it, it's like, holy smokes, how is it
Yes.
possible that we can have a well-balanced diet? And so that's what you're kind of suggesting, is the well-balanced diet, but avoiding some other pitfalls that might not be obvious. And so I'd love for you to answer that, but I want to also ask, so I don't forget, you know, I think heavy metal detox is a big one going out. So yeah, I guess, and you got to get that book out, because I can follow instructions. If you give me the book and the instructions and what to get, I can do that. Otherwise, like I said, it's going to be a bunch of random items together that I'm just going to stuff in my face. When you do the detox, I imagine it has to be very, very clean. You're only eating these raw foods, and you're not, you know, and then I think sometimes you can add maybe oil or something that's allowed, like something very basic. I don't know.
Well, it's not necessarily, like, again, it's not raw foods. Raw is not, you know, it doesn't necessarily, it can be cooked, they can be steamed, they can be roasted, they can be broiled. Raw is not necessarily, you know, the best way to take in all the nutrients. It's a matter of, you know, putting certain combinations of things together. And like you said, it's about whole meals, okay? Whole foods, organic. And the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. So the clean 15 and the dirty dozen are great references for shopping, because it'll show you what you can buy that you don't necessarily have to buy organic and waste your money, and what you should be buying organically, so you stop hurting yourself. You know, people, you know, the thing is that people don't realize just how um, uh, pervasive toxicity is. So I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. So you take your daughter to the park, right? You take her to, you know, play in the grass. Do you golf when you're off time at all? Do you golf? Are you a golfer?
I'd like to get out more, but yeah, I do golf.
Okay, good. So, you know, you're on the golf course and stuff like that. So Roundup is used all over the United States. I don't know about Canada, but Roundup is a weed killer. And it's used on every golf course, on every playground, in every park, every net, you know what I mean? It's like anywhere there's grass, Roundup is being used. And Roundup causes breast cancer and lymphoma. Okay, I've been talking about it for the last 20 years. Now there are lawsuits, okay, class action lawsuits against what used to be Monsanto that owned it. I don't know who owns it now. They sold it to somebody else. Suckers, they bought a chemical that causes cancer. So, they have to deal with all the lawsuits. But it causes breast cancer and lymphoma. So you take your daughter to the park. She runs around with her bare little feet, you know what I mean, on the grass. And then the foot goes in the mouth. And so does all the pesticide. All right. And that is all over. And that's not just your child. That is all children. And the golf course and the playgrounds and the parks. You go to take a shower, right? Like I mentioned earlier, I was kidding. You go into the bathroom, you turn the water on, it smells a little chlorine, right? Every once in a while, it's just like, you just smell chlorine coming out of the tap. Like, what's going on? Okay. Chlorine is a heavy metal. So you get into the shower, and if you tested that water that you're smelling the chlorine on, here in New York, if you tested that water, the water with a pool tester, the water might turn yellow, okay? And if it's 3 parts per million, the maker of the shock, the chemical that you put in the pools to clean it, would tell you that this is not safe to swim in. But yet it's safe to drink and or wash your dishes or take a shower? I don't think so. So you're smelling chlorine, you get into the shower, and the shower is, beating on your head, the most absorbent part of our body, and the chlorine is beating on it. And then you're turning on the hot water. So the chlorine turns into steam because it's aerosolizing. So you're breathing in all this chlorine into your lungs. So through the top of the head, now you're breathing in the chlorine. Now you're getting a good dose of chlorine in your body, as I said, which is a heavy metal. And, it's like it happens at least a couple times a year. It's not right. It's not like, you're imagining it. And so, these are just a couple of little things that happen to people. And people are like, I'm not toxic. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah, I live a clean life. I do, yeah. You walk outside your house, you walk down the block. I don't know about you, but in New York, they're doing construction on every other corner, okay? Every other corner. So, they're jackhammering and they're all of that dust, all of that rock dust. Those are all heavy metals in there, okay? And it all gets out into the air, and you're walking in the car fumes, and, you're breathing in all of that car combustion. And, people wonder why they don't feel well and why they have headaches and why they don't have energy and why their cognitive function is affected and, their digestion is screwed up and their sleeping is, not right. And, and this has been going on for years. These are not new symptoms, but they don't know who to talk to and they don't know where to go. And they don't even realize that it's symptoms because it's so insidious. It's been going on for so long. It's just kind of who they are now. And it's not, it really isn't. There's something wrong, and it can be changed. It can be, corrected, but you need to find out, you need to go to the proper doctor. You need somebody to listen to you. And that's the thing that one thing that all of my patients complain about is that their doctors don't listen to them, that they don't listen to their symptoms. That if they don't get it out in the first 21 seconds that they're in the office, what's going on? Next. So, I don't do that. I listen hard. I want to know what's going on. And, it's important because you have to make conclusions. You have to figure it out. So, being a good diagnostician, I pride myself on that I can figure it out. I hate not knowing what the problem is. So, I like figuring it out. I like digging and, getting answers, whether it's a musculoskeletal problem and somebody's body mechanics are off and it's like, what are they doing and stuff. And, I had this one girl, she was a dancer. I think she was a dancer. She was an actress, and she did yoga. So she did yoga, cute little thing, nice little body. And she had this back pain, and it was her sacrum. I'm like, this is your sacrum. It's your sacrum. It's your sacrum. I don't know why you what are you doing that's throwing out your sacrum? What is it that you, and, it kept talking and back and forth. And, I'd make her feel better. But the thing is, it wasn't holding. It wasn't sticking. And again, I told you that bothers me. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't like when that happens. The technique that I do is good. It should fix things on a much more permanent basis than traditional chiropractic. So when it doesn't, I need to find out what's going on. Turns out that she was doing child's pose, and in laying down, and the position for child's pose was throwing her sacrum out. I mean, right, who would have thunk? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, what do you do? Went through all the movements and the poses, and I'm like, that's it. This is, stop doing that, and your sacrum is going to stay in place. Boom. No more problems with her sacrum. So, and this was after, a couple of months of, fixing it, putting it in, felt better, came back. Now I don't see her anymore because she's all fixed. So, I lose patience that way too. It's not so good.
Wow. Well, you're bringing up a lot of important points, and I've had a lot of guests on the show, and I've met a lot of people in person that have told me that they've cured themselves of cancer. And you actually can't even say that, you know what I mean? You can get in trouble if you say that, especially as a doctor. But I know a lot of people who had it and then they went into remission, and 100% of the people that's happened to was clean food, clean water, change in water, decrease in stress, because all of them were through the roof, right? Decrease in stress, lifestyle change. And those are basically the three key: clean food, clean water, decrease in stress. And they change their lifestyle. They change their way of living. And the one addition that you are sharing, I think, is important, is the clean water. Because, I've had opportunities in my life where I had clean water, and then I had to put in a water filtration in my house now because I let it go way too long with just a crappy house one. But the one that I didn't consider, that I just learned about, was the water from the shower. And so so what would you suggest as a solution for clean water? Do you have filters, and do you
yes
put one in the shower as well?
Yes, exactly. That's it. You get, what I mean? You get a filter for the shower water. So it, will take out minerals. It will take out particles. You can talk to, somebody who's, a plumber, or go to the plumbing supply store, and they can talk you through what your needs are. The only thing that I would suggest, and the only thing is that you have to be careful that the big units that people get for the house, okay, that it's better if it's one. First of all, they're plastic most of the time. They really should be metal, because plastic leaches plastic. It just does. But if it is plastic, that it's one piece, that it's not glued together, because that glue, that whatever it is, gets into the water eventually. It leaches in. So depending on how long you have your system, so not so good. So yeah, so, some kind of stainless steel, or, something that is not, gonna cause toxicity. And if it is plastic, that it's one molded piece, that it's not two pieces glued together. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I wish you were a bit closer so you could be my family doctor and just, make sure that, and I didn't even get into like the performance side of it, because, being an athlete and enjoying high performance, I'm always curious about how to improve. But I feel like in the world we live in today, there are so many threats out there that we're completely unaware of. Like when you're talking about the shower, and I'm thinking about my bald head in the shower and how many months I've been doing that, and maybe feeling fatigued. And I'm like, why am I fatigued? Is it my diet? Am I eating too much carbs? Am I missing something? And you end up feeling lower. But once you can analyze it, then you can troubleshoot it. But not a lot of us have that IQ or knowledge, right? Because we'll pick one diet. Like, for example, Tony Robbins recently got really, really sick because he was just eating a diet with a lot of fish. And I guess he got mercury poisoning or something along that, and got really, really sick, like really bad. And so even someone like him, who has access to all these experts, can make wrong decisions. And
Absolutely.
So, and put our body out of whack and out of harmony. And so what I'd love to ask you is there anything else important that you think we should discuss? And then what I wanted to kind of throw at you was, since your book is not written, when will it be written? and what can I do in the meantime? Because I'm a novice. I agree with you. I think that what you're sharing is really important. And how am I going to apply that in my life? With my family and my daughter, I took a note of the Dirty Dozen and the Super 15 or whatever they were.
It's clean. The clean 15.
Yeah.
And the Dirty Dozen. So very simple, very, very, easy to access, very informative.
Yeah. So I'm going to have them as raw. I'm not going to know how to modify them. I'm just going to put them in my mouth and it's going to be perfect.
That's okay. The book is written. It's not published. So I actually do have an agent who really likes the book and likes the information and thinks that she can get it in front of a publisher. We're just putting together what we need for the publisher. So I'm very, very excited about that. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be talking about it. So, but I got a big mouth. And in terms of, so you can always call me. You have a question, you're not sure about something. People text me all the time. I answer, I talk to everybody, Matt, everybody. There isn't a phone call that comes through this office. There isn't an email or a text message that I don't speak to that person or I don't reach out to them and have at least a 15-minute conversation, everyone. And most of the time they just need a little hand holding. They just need to know it's okay. Go see the doctor, go get some other testing done, maybe go to the dentist. It's an infection, let's get the results back first and then we'll see what needs to get done. I'm not an alarmist and I don't like to prey on people's fears. And people call me because they're afraid. You know what I mean? They don't know what to do and nobody has the answers for them. Nobody can tell them or help them. And people can't necessarily travel here. So I do a lot of telemedicine stuff. I do a lot of video appointments. But anytime, you want to, how do I cook this? What kind of meal should I make? Call me. I'll be happy to help you. I do this all day, every day with people. It's not hard, and it's fun. So for me, it's not a big deal. So feel free. Okay. That's never a problem. I don't know. I think, I think we covered, pretty much everything. I don't know, except that, lymph biologics, what it is that I do is a two-part system. It's lymph drainage and it's metabolic detoxification, and it has to be the two together. Either one by itself is not truly effective. It just doesn't do what it needs to do. The lymph does, the lymphedema, the lymph issues, whatever it is, the swelling, the inflammation, the pain, the discomfort, the heaviness, the lumbering, it doesn't go away and stay away without the detoxification component. So, and the lymph drainage that I do is very, very different than lymphatic massage. It's not lymph massage at all. And as I said, lymph massage, I believe is an oxymoron because it really doesn't work. It just doesn't. What I would love is for somebody to realize the potential of lymph biologics and franchise it, put in centers all around the United States that people have access to go for treatment, because I can't be in all places. I can't be everywhere. And, teach them about their toxicity and let them go for lymph drainage and put them on whatever detoxification supplements are necessary. And those people who can afford additional testing to really find out what toxin is in their body, so be it. They do the urine test and the stool test and the, saliva testing and, whatever it is that's available at each center, to be as specific as possible. But people can get so much relief that they're not getting now. That's what kills me, is that so many people are suffering, so many people in pain with lymphedema and they don't know where to go. There's nothing for them to do. I get calls every day from the thing is that I never thought about this as a global issue, because I said 10 million people in the United States suffer from lymphedema. And when COVID hit, all of a sudden, I started getting phone calls and text messages from people all over the world, from Riyadh, from Saudi Arabia, from South Africa, from all over India, from Canada, from England, South America, where else? couple of Brazil, Hawaii. Hawaii's here in the United States. Don't I know? But it's a ways from here. It was like, oh my God, I have over 250, almost 300 people logged in who contacted me from outside the United States, who had questions and no one to answer, nowhere to go in their country, didn't know what to do. Whether it was an infection or, a lymphedema that was oozing, or, a neck that all of a sudden just swelled up, and, lymph nodes that were, tender and sore and tight. And as I said to you, it's like, well, you have any dental issues? You have any, like maybe go to the dentist. It's like, sometimes it's common sense. People don't have that too all the time. But but I think we hit everything. Is there something you want me to address? Is there something that
Well, I think all of it was really amazing, and you're really a wealth of knowledge. I think the only thing that I would ask, and you kind of touched on it, was a lot of people want to go into the fad of like cleansing, I feel like, and it's not holistic. So if they want to do something that's a little bit more holistic, I'd say, in your approach, especially with the heavy metals, because that keeps coming up a lot, what resource would you suggest for them? How could they engage that in a way that it would actually be beneficial to the whole body, and they're doing what they want it to do?
Right. Like I said, it's if they want to detox, you need to look at metabolic detoxification protocols. They're all over, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not the only one who, has protocols. I mean, I have very specific things that I use. And if you go to my website, synergyhealthassociates.com, you can see, what's available. But you need to address a multi-system approach. So it has to be your digestion and your liver and your lymphatic system and your kidneys at the same time. They have to all be addressed. Otherwise, you're not really detoxing. So, and I said, the cleanses that people do, they're a waste of time. They're just, it's $1 billion industry, and it's like, it does nothing. I'm like, oh my God, the green drinks and the red drinks and the juices and the, this cleanse and that cleanse. And it's like, oh, I'm going to get my cleansing smoothie. And, it just tastes good. That's all that, it just tastes good. It's just a good tasting drink. It's not doing anything for them necessarily. Maybe it has a little probiotic in it. Maybe it has a little ginger in it. Maybe it has a little turmeric in it, but it's not enough to cleanse the liver and the lymph and the kidneys. Again, only the small and large intestine are being affected. So, you have to keep in mind that detox has to be metabolic, has to be all of those systems, not just the small and large intestine. So that's what a cleanse is. That's why cleanses don't work. And again, anybody who, has an interest, they can call me, they can contact me. I'm more than happy to answer their questions, and I'm more than happy to suggest things that they can take or things that they can do, or tests, to find out if they really do have heavy metal toxicity in their system. It's a very easy urine test. Take a couple of chelators, night before, get up in the morning, collect your urine, send it out. In 9-10 days, we know, if you have heavy metals in your urine. And we can be as specific as possible, which is nice. I like specificity. I don't like shooting in the dark. I don't like, maybes. I like, direct approach.
Yeah. And I feel like that would be incredibly helpful, because the way that, training works, let's say you're training for martial arts or a triathlon or whatever, I can send you the workout program and you can go ahead and do it. And I feel like a lot of medicine, if done right from a holistic standpoint, or herbalist, or whatever you'd want to call it, once you listen to them and you go through all that protocol, you're going to be able to marker high stress, not enough water, really obvious stuff that's super detrimental for people, right? It's like I remember this one story. from a person that did some work in Sedona, right? And she goes, after this healing session she gave to this person, she said, okay, I'm going to need you to drink a lot of water today. He goes, I don't drink water. And she goes, what? He's like, I don't drink water. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, he's like, what do you drink? He's like, pop and coffee. It's like, how are you still living? And it just shows how incredibly resilient the body is. And if you're getting these signals, like you said, leaky gut and gut issues, immune health, all that stuff is so rampant. And if we can even tick off the things that are really causing a lot of damage, we can get the body to come back into homeostasis and let it do what it's supposed to do. And so I feel like, yeah, you can get a lot done. So I'm probably going to be reaching out and be like, okay, what do I do, Dr. Loretta? I have no idea. I was like, I think I'm doing a smart thing. And you're like, Matt, those are 3 stupid things. I'm like, okay, I'll stop doing those. I'll try to limit the stupid things. But I'm so grateful for you coming on and sharing your wisdom. I feel like, I've had a lot of guests on the show who talk about health, but they've, the water element was one, and then also the holistic detox or the metabolic detox, I feel like is a good upgrade for understanding for people who are really wanting a higher level health, because it's frustrating when you can't get to high levels of energy, or you're stuck in pain.
Yes.
And so I just appreciate you and your work and your dedication to figuring out things that actually work. If people want to get in touch with you, or they are excited about the book, or an email list or something like that, where do they go to find out more about you?
So you can go to Synergy with an S, Health Associates with an S, plural.com, and they can actually sign up for the book, you know what I mean, when it does come out, for early purchase kind of thing. They'll be notified. You can find me on Instagram. Again, Synergy Health Associates. I'm all over Instagram, and the chiropractic that I do, and the lymph drainage that I do, you can see it. And, I'm always telling people, about what to do and, how to do it and stuff like that. You can email me. It's Dr. Loretta, Loretta, at Dr. spelled out, Doctor, Loretta, Loretta.com. Or you can call the office. I pick up the phone. I talk to everybody. It's 212-243-5515. So that's 212-243-5515. I'm very old fashioned. So, and I keep a written appointment book as well. So,
You're amazing. That is the first time out of over 400 episodes somebody has dropped their phone number. So you are an incredibly special person. I appreciate your work and your dedication to helping others and, providing solutions. Like you said, it's troubling when you see, the pain that people are experiencing and they don't know, right? I might have been in the aisle, maybe being cheap and getting, the crappy strawberries for my daughter. And I don't know that distinction, right? I don't know that that's got the pesticides, and I think I'm doing the right thing. And then sometimes I see the organic is just a label, and I'm like, I hope not. Like, I want to avoid as many of these friggin' pitfalls as I can, just to be healthy and vibrant and, and be, healthy myself, so I can go.
No, absolutely. I teach my patients because, it just is an aside, labels are important, and, everything's everything's natural. So it's natural, and it's grass fed, or it's cage free, or so what? The door was open. The chicken could have done a walkabout. Doesn't mean it necessarily did. It just means that the cage was open, grass fed. Okay. So who's to say that grass wasn't sprayed with pesticide, wasn't sprayed with Roundup that the cows are eating? You know what I mean? That it's grass-fed, good for them. You understand that a lot of this, I tell simple, antibiotic, steroid, hormone-free. You know what I mean? Antibiotic, hormone, steroid-free. That is what you want to see. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't matter all the other fancy words. Antibiotic, steroid, hormone-free. That's what you want to see on your foods. Then it's, better. So, that's my parting gift to you.
I appreciate it. All very practical. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, and definitely invite the viewers to check out your work, and we'll all be looking forward to the book. So we have the protocol. It's nice and easy. I basically need it dummy proof when it comes to food. So I'll be looking forward to it.
Oh no, it's absolutely, it's gonna be fabulous. So, it's really gonna help a lot of people. So I'm looking forward to it. So, and
Yeah,
thank you so much.
my pleasure. Thanks guys for watching. See you in the next episode.
Bye bye.